peens, vagenes, and in-betweens. It's me, it's Charles. Happy August 20th. I don't know if it's a special day at all, but a couple of things have happened recently over the last 48 to 72 hours, and I guess I wanted to talk about it and fill you in because they're all movie-related subjects, and they're all different perspectives of the movie business and discourse online. And I think it's fascinating because I'm technically on social media, but I don't check my stuff. If you've seen a tweet or something from me in the last 3 years, you'll know it's once every 8 months or so, if not more than that. So yeah, it's not great for the mental health, me and social media, so I try to avoid it. So there are these big stories that, like, I either hear secondhand or I come across on the YouTube, on the television. For those of you who don't know, we have a shared account on our television. Our YouTube on our smart TV isn't my wife's account. It's not my account. It's just kind of the living room account. And it's this blend of both of us. And I think where that blend really kind of gets a mind of its own is in the shorts category. The algorithm is wild. You could tell when I've been watching it a few hours or days in a row, and when she's been watching it a few hours and days in a row, and then there's this slow transition. But in those transition periods, the things that get suggested are wild. You can tell when either of us has been down a particular hole. Emily seems to prefer to go down awkward science stuff. And if I get involved in a movie or I'm about to talk about an actor or a director or something, I like really go down their history and odd notes. So just imagine whatever that algorithm would look like, and you have some sort of idea what the transition period would be. And on the shared YouTube channel, there was something of a surprising story, a short that, first of all, a non-face person. So first warning, first alarming bit of information. And it was one of those things where it's just a bunch of different clips with what appears to be an AI voice. And they were talking about the backlash of Inde Navarrette being cast as Rogue. Every now and again, because I'm in a couple of group chats, most notably the Autop Stream chat, I ask them, hey, how much is there to this stuff? And is it real? Is it actually a thing? Or am I getting trapped by AI slop? And ironically enough, Uncle Sean Chandler, had a video that he released yesterday. I don't know if it was before or after my entry into the group chat, but it's interesting. I've heard two separate things from different people, and we'll react to Sean's short, even though like his video proper is only like 4.5 minutes. Hayden, thank you for joining as a channel member. Yes. And Hayden says, if it wasn't for networking, I wouldn't have social media at all. Yeah, I feel I'm not a boomer. I'm not, what's the one after that? I'm a millennial, but when I say, yeah, reach me by email, people are like, what? What are you talking about? Yeah, it's a little hard to hook up with people. And I realize saying hook up with people is old timer talk, because hook up means something different. I just mean sync up, link up, join together to do something that isn't very physical. I've learned that the hard way, that hooking up is, I understand. I think I have used that terminology in my past, but it was kind of a catch-all. So I still use the wrong terminology. So, yep. Aiden also says, heard Indy turned down Heat 2 for the possible longevity of an X-Men career. And in my opinion, I think that was the best career decision. But apparently, the internet thinks she was wrong and hates her. Yes, I have multiple inputs and theories on that. But for the most part, let me piggyback what Sean said because I agree with him mostly. Oh, it's not here. I've already ruined it. It's already been ruined. Have I said how much I absolutely love OBS? Oh, there it is. Sean's back. So we're going to watch his short here. And I think I commented on his video proper, but to no avail. We'll go through it here.
The X-Men. Is she crazy?
Shit. How do I reset this? There's no way to rewind, is there? All right.
Easy for doing that? Or is this fairly basic career building? I think this is pretty obviously the right choice for her. She joined the MCU. That means she is virtually locked in to have a part to play in blockbusters for the next decade. It is very likely that they will do a movie that's like Avengers vs. the X-Men. If they make that movie, she will be in a movie that's going to make $2 billion. And think about it this way. If everything dries up after X-Men and the bubble bursts, she still will have established herself as a horror icon and an X-Men, which means she can make a living just doing cons for the rest of her life. So she, by taking this role, has established she'll be in blockbusters for the next decade, as well as she can make make a living for the rest of her life just going to the convention circuit. She chose a career, stardom, financial security over prestige. There's a good chance that Heat 2 will be a prestige film. Leonardo DiCaprio is really good at picking scripts, but it's also really unlikely that she was going to have one of the more substantial roles in the film. I haven't read the book.
I agree with that.
I could be wrong. Maybe she's the third lead behind Christian Bale.
She apparently would have been reading for Ashley Judd's character in Heat. Do you remember Ashley Judd in Heat? No. No one remembers any females from Heat. Sorry.
Leonardo DiCaprio, and would have had a ton of screen time with them. And that would be a different conversation. But most likely, she's the 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th build person in a movie starring Leonardo DiCaprio and Christian Bale. In which case, she gets to work with greats, but she's probably not getting a great role that would be a breakout for her. If I'm correct that this part was probably a significant supporting role, but like 5th, 6th, 7th build, I think that this is a no-brainer as to what's the better career move. However, if the role was like 3rd build, a lot of screen time with either Christian or Leo, it becomes then a matter of what career does she want. It seems like she wants to do popcorn, more kind of mass appeal, and I don't think there's anything wrong with that. I think it's pretty obviously the wiser choice to pick Rogue, which would be a recurring paycheck and open up so many revenue streams simply for playing Rogue, an iconic Inde Navarrette report.
That's a hard cut. Yes, I agree with a lot of what Sean says. At a certain point, I kind of cut off and stop agreeing. I agree in principle in what he's saying. There's just the fact that like she would be content in doing the convention circuit. That's kind of depressing. As the current it person right now. You know, someone, however you feel about Obsession, I know studios probably feel like, oh, that's a movie that made 400x its budget. And whether or not you think she's completely responsible for that, if she's half the reason that movie did as well as it did, she's responsible for a movie being 200x its budget. There's like genuine talk about her being up for Oscars for this, which is fucking wild. Like that's incredible. I'm rooting for it. It's awesome. But if you're an Oscar worthy, or at least in the conversation for Oscar candidacy in 2026, your next role is Rogue, who I don't remember them doing very much with her character. Granted, I don't read the comics. She's the one who can't touch people, right? Or because if she touches them, they like die. That is not a Wolverine, a Cyclops. It's the same argument that he has for Heat. I don't know if Rogue is like the front of the poster on a modern day incarnation of X-Men. To think that, okay, I'll do these X-Men movies and no matter what, if it fails, at least I have conventions to do. I would really hope, I mean, granted, he's probably saying that as if to say worst case scenario, which, yeah, to be in and out and have a year's worth of decisions end up being, oh, I'll do conventions after that, because you don't know how good their planning is right now. It is X-Men. It's the 20th century division of I guess is it all Marvel again? Because I know X-Men was Fox in its first go round. We don't know what Avengers is just yet. I think the most solid representation of comic book material post-COVID is still Spider-Man, which is Sony and Marvel working together. So there's the article that was went a little bit further on it, and I can get that here. Okay. So this is from Page 6 Hollywood. And this is talking about a little bit further about what Sean is talking about. Why Obsession star Inde Navarrette is Hollywood's hottest young actress on everyone's short list for big money roles. This was published yesterday, about 26 hours ago. A few months ago, actress Inde Navarrette was a relative unknown. Now she's starring in a Marvel franchise, turning down co-starring roles with Leo and getting papped outside the Chateau Marmont. Marmont? I'm not hip with the LA hotspots. Not to mention that she could be in Oscar contention for a film that's considered one of the most profitable ever at the box office. If it isn't, what is? What did better than 400X? That's wild. Before the horror hit Obsession was released on May 15th, to record-shattering box office numbers, Navarrete 25 was primarily known to fans of the TV series Superman and Lois, and perhaps the controversial 2020 Netflix drama 13 Reasons Why, as a regular on both shows. Who the hell was she in 13 Reasons Why? Okay. Cut to today when she's on everyone's short list right now, a prominent producer in town tells us, noting that the actress is regularly turning down seven-figure offers. So regularly, not just one. We've learned that before Navarrete was revealed last week as a star in the next X-Men movie for Marvel with Adam Driver and Sadie Sink. She was on the short list of actresses being wooed to star in Heat 2, the upcoming sequel to Michael Mann's epic crime drama, which is scheduled to start shooting this fall. That could be a scheduling thing. Not to get too deep into the weeds here, but if Marvel scooped her up You don't know if there's reshoots happening. You don't know if there's going to be stuff happening for Avengers. It may be a thing where she maybe wanted to do that, but when it comes to these big budget franchise things, they want you free. And they pay you extra to be free. It's one of those things where, like TV stars, you'll hear these stories about celebrities who are like, yeah, I had to sign a thing where, I would do this TV series on my time, and my weekends were essentially me working on this TV show while I was property of, big budget blockbuster every time otherwise. The fact that they're planning on filming Heat 2 this fall, they have to do marketing rounds. Like if it comes out next summer, what if there is a long marketing run up to Heat 2 being released to theaters? Like you forget about all these things that are in contracts. Because, the night talk shows, the internet appearances on fucking Hot Wings and shit. There's a lot that consists of your scheduling. If she's doing X-Men or whatever the fuck it is she's supposed to do as Rogue coming up in the next, even if she's not supposed to do it until, let's say filming is in February. When does Heat 2 come out? She could film Heat 2 this fall, but not be available for any of the promotional shit, which kind of stinks. What if they need reshoots? She's not available for that. So that's kind of a problem. And again, it's Disney, it's Marvel. I wouldn't be surprised if the truth to that was it was a choice either or, and you're going to take the potential 5-picture thing or the sequel to a movie that's 30 years old. I think it's not quite, yeah, no, I don't want that. I'm going to do this thing. I think it could be a story where she wanted to do both, but there's restrictions in one over the other. And it wouldn't be restrictions from Heat over X-Men. And again, we don't know what Doomsday has in store. They could film some shit. While Heat 2 is filming this fall, Avengers could drop, a couple of days worth of shooting where the X-Men they're magically in it too. You never know. And I don't think it's as cut and dry as that. A knowledgeable source confirmed that due to her commitment to the upcoming X-Men, the breakout star is no longer in contention to join Christian Bale and Leonardo DiCaprio to play the role of Charlene, a character originated by Ashley Judd. And the way that this is worded, a source confirmed that due to her commitment to the upcoming X-Men, doesn't say she turned it down. It says her commitment. So it's not like a no thanks. It's a busy, sorry. P6H, that is Page 6 Hollywood, has also learned that Navarrette passed on a role that would have paid her $2.5 million for a horror project directed by Matthias Hone. That could be a thing, and $2.5 million, that's hard to sneeze at. That I feel good for her. Don't be typecast. If she's going to do anything, do drama, do musical, do comedy. Don't get stuck doing horror. You go the way of Jamie Lee Curtis, although that sounds odd saying that now because Jamie Lee Curtis was essentially a horror actress at multiple points in her life, but she did go and do Trading Places and a stretch of comedies in the 80s. I would like to not see her constantly in horror because people get stuck. And she's very talented. I'd like to see her, show those chops off in other environments, in other genres. But again, $2.5 million That's hard to just say no. Navarrette was already set to star in another horror project by Hone called In Vertigo, which centers on teens who get stuck on a roller coaster after a system failure. That film currently has no release date. That's interesting terminology. Is she already in it? Did she already film it? Set to star in. Yeah, there was something that I saw a few months ago that said, oh, this is the first time that she's doing something post Obsession. I really don't think, I think she's had people approach her, and I think she's probably signed a deal or two and done things since May. I don't think Marvel here in August has been like the first job offer she's gotten, obviously. Navarrette's remarkable ascent has quickly made her Hollywood's newest it girl. Yesterday, people ran a headline blaring, Inde Navarrette holds hands with musician Nick Aiello outside Chateau Marmont 2 days after joining X-Men cast, after she was spotted outside the famed hotel as a new fixture for photogs. Oh, we're doing LA lingo here. The Paps. Navarrette is even gaining buzz as a potential Oscar contender for her role as Nikki Freeman in filmmaker Curry Barker's breakout hit Obsession. The Focus Features horror hit had a $750K budget and has earned close to $500 million. An awards campaign seems like the least the studio could do, considering Navarrette was reportedly paid $20,000 for the indie project. Give her a bonus, you maniacs, and do the right thing. For your consideration, we didn't pay this girl. A campaign would also seem to align with Navarrette's stated desire to try out new genres. See? I really want to prove that Obsession wasn't just lightning in a bottle, she told Nylon. This is something that I really love and want to continue doing, but of course that's going to take time. I want people to take that time to trust that I have the capability. I also want to fall on my face publicly and have something that people don't like, but maybe I do. And yeah, that is page 6. So I mostly agree with Sean's sentiment. I would kind of barter with him and have issue with the fact that at worst case scenario she's doing cons. I would hope that that's not the flip side of the coin. And I also think that, you know, Obsession did very well. Yes. But if you put another actress in her role, is the movie as good? I would argue no. I cannot name you an actress that could do those turn on a dime emotional swings like so rapidly the way she did. Hayden says, I've seen 13 Reasons Why, all 4 seasons, like 3. There's 4 seasons? I don't recall her at all. It's very whiplashy with all the internet, with the internet sometimes, with how quick on a dime they'll change on someone just because they made a choice for their career that makes sense. Well, the other thing is, so the thing that the short that I was suggested was that people were hating on the choice of her to be Rogue. This has nothing to do with her choosing Rogue over Heat 2. This is the fact that for Rogue, it's actually going to be Inde Navarrette, which some of the arguments that I've seen were, what has she proven? Which is fucking priceless. I'm sorry. As the third feature in basically an ensemble cast. Again, she's not Jean Grey. She's not any of the bigger characters. I'm only thinking of the films. There's comic characters I just don't know. Was Rogue some sort of big time actor the first couple of times we've had this? No. So it's insane. Apparently there's another corner of Backlash that is how do you say this, that people are bothered by her casting? It feels, it gives off the scent, the aroma of people that would qualify and fall under that category of the same type of people that think Bear is not the villain of Obsession. If you can kind of read what I'm saying here, that type of vibe has issue with her being cast, and it could just be a thing of, oh, that's the girl that has forced me to have arguments for something that I don't want to properly think about. So I'm going to put it on the actress, because we all know the internet. They're very sane when it comes to separating an actor from a role. They always know to separate the actor from a role and not carry any of that shit over from time to time. And on a smaller scale, someone made the claim that she doesn't have the proper shape to fit Rogue, and I don't recall there being this sort of argument for male characters in superhero stuff. Both genders, when they do this stuff, there's like a vigorous regimen that, to be the comic book hero, they do a lot of working out, and you don't know what the schedule is for them to look like what. It's very early to judge anything. Again, this is post-COVID era Marvel, which, tell me, not Spider-Man. What has Marvel done in the last 5 years that you've been like, oh yeah, they're cooking? So, we have Doomsday coming at the end of the year. Maybe she's going to be in it. I feel like the way they had both Ryan Reynolds at San Diego Comic-Con and had this internet thing with Hugh Jackman, I feel like Daredevil and Wolverine will be in Doomsday, because it's such a swerve if you're doing that. It's hard to judge things based on such limited information, but a lot of young men on the internet having problems with Inde Navarrette being cast as Rogue without understanding why she's being cast is really kind of frustrating. And I think another point is she doesn't want to be typecast. She's not sticking around in horror. She turned down a $2.5 million payday in another horror. And if you've seen interviews of her, like, she's a nerd. One of her, like, I forgot what the hell I was watching, where, like, one of her favorite, like, they asked her what her first crush was, and she said, like, a Transformers character. It's like, oh, like, she's completely in her element at Comic-Con. It might have been a dream come true to get offered an X-Men gig. Like, yeah, all right, sure. I'm a nerd. I don't mind going to Comic-Con to do all that promotion and shit. She might be making the choice that, like, is strictly for her. And Disney pays well. And if you're the current it girl and you're turning down 2.5 mil for a horror movie, that Marvel gig, she's probably got some new representation, someone looking out for her on the financial back end, if you will. Um, this might be like the best of both worlds, where it's like, all right, they're not letting me do this DiCaprio thing, but you know what? Let me do some safety. Let me get my face out there a little bit more, and opportunities will come if I have confidence in myself. Prove that it wasn't a fluke. And the thing about these superhero movies, um, the actresses don't seem to be dented by a shitty performance at the box office for um, comic book movies. I mean, you think about it. Sydney Sweeney, It Girl, for a completely different reason. Although, I mean, if we're talking about same argument, absolutely. But Sydney Sweeney was in that awful Madam Web. Did not dent her at all. If anything, she like rose above after it. So I think she's just like doing what she wants to do. And right on. And if you think she's not right for it, based on what? What do you know about Rogue? I can't name you a line from Rogue in any of the Fox X-Men movies. I know she wears gloves, right? She's got that. The only thing I could think about her, oh yeah, that hairdo, gloves, and she can't touch people because they die. Isn't it the thing where she kisses a guy and presses his cheek? Like, I literally cannot give you a quote from Rogue in any of the previous X-Men movies. Is it Optimus Prime? It was something like that, where it's like, oh, you're a nerd. That's awesome. Jesse, hello from Australia. I discovered you thanks to Cody back in 2019. This is the first live of yours I've been able to catch. Right on. Well, thanks. What the hell time is it in Australia right now? Is it nighttime? She's a badass at Call of Duty. Haha, would love to see her carry you in a match. Yeah. That it would be exactly how it is. I think on the living room television, Emily and I watched some clips of her, and I was like, "Oh my god, she'd annihilate me." It's like not even close. Oh, 1 a.m. Well, good evening. Happy Friday. That's wild. It's so hard to play to the entire world. But yeah, so in regards to Inde Navarrette, I think there's more to it than just, oh, she said fuck you to Heat 2. I don't think it went like that. And with this Page 6 article, she's had other things. She's got other things coming up in between. And she didn't turn it down. Her availability changed. That's differently worded than turned down. No longer in contention means, yeah, I don't have the availability for that. And you don't know if she's turned it down. And the other thing that, as much as this stuff is fun to talk about, we're talking about a potential. Someone signed on to do a thing. Mahershala Ali signed on to be Blade, 7 years ago? We have not seen any of that. So a lot of weird shit happens. Nicolas Cage was supposed to be Superman in the late 90s. Until this is a thing, it's not a thing. But, get that paper. And if you'd rather do, comic shit, do comic shit. I won't lie, I'm intrigued. Although I don't know, considering what she did emotionally in Obsession, I don't know if playing a character that can't touch people, who's like an absolute badass otherwise, I don't know what she can show off there. And I'm completely open to being corrected and wrong. It feels safe. I don't read comics very much. My experience with comics is the movies. I don't know if I'm not mistaken. Isn't Rogue the person that kills Captain Marvel? Like I've heard that might have been Lapsed who told me that. But in the comic, like she is able to kill Captain Marvel, and Captain Marvel is a fucking supreme badass, like a galaxy killing badass, and Rogue is able to. It's like rock paper scissors with those characters, I swear. But I don't know how much conflict can you do with someone who just can't touch people. If you touch them, they die. A lot of her work in Obsession that was really impressive. Face and eyes. There's a ton of things. Thank you, Adam. Not kill per se, just absorb Captain Marvel's powers. Oh, and Captain Marvel is like a galaxy ender, so if she absorbs Captain Marvel's powers, she can then end galaxies or whatever. Yeah, see, I'm like so in the dark. If you want me to explain why Jason is alive after 20 years of being drowned, I can do that. I cannot tell you about these people's powers. But I think there's more to it than, no, I'm not going to do Heat 2. But 20 grand, they better push her for, at the very least, Golden Globes. Like, if we're still talking about it now, you got to push her. You got to push her for stuff. Critics' Choice, SAG Awards. Wait, what was that? It had to be SAG qualified, right? If I don't remember. I didn't hire SAG actors when I did my stuff. Hold on, you touched a nerve. I hate how they dropped the ball on Blade. Dude, like my point is, there's tons of shit, and like this is part of my gripe that I can see both ends of this. They talk about this stuff and it's news. Like, if we didn't have the internet the way we do today, we would never really know about it. Like, we didn't really know about Nicolas Cage being Superman until years later. But because we heard about Mahershala Ali being Blade, and they fucking waltzed him up on the stage with here's our fucking 16 things we're doing in the future. Like, it's just in the back of your head, like, wait, when's that Blade movie coming out? Hey, wait a minute. Deadpool Wolverine, why is Wesley Snipes Blade? Actually, I like this. Forget everything. I don't know what I want anymore. There's stuff like that. Gore Verbinski was supposed to do a remake of Clue. I was all over that idea. As much as I don't want Clue remade, if Gore Verbinski is going to do it, let me see. But we didn't get that. For every one thing you hear about in Hollywood that's going to happen, there's 10 that do not happen. Things fall through, schedules break up, rewrites. Director loses interest, does another thing. Actor loses interest, does another thing. It happens so often. Do you remember were you in the army line in the first X-Men movie? She says it to Wolverine. I don't remember that. Was that a classic line? Was that that's Rogue being Rogue. I should go to bed, take my chances of hello. Well, cheers. I appreciate it. Feel free to comment. You don't have to just breeze on by. I appreciate it, though. Thank you. In my opinion, MCU is doing better than DCU right now, to be honest. I don't dispute that. It feels like MCU can swing and miss and still kind of keep going, where DCU, I don't know how much Supergirl not doing business Like, how much does that hurt them? It could just be a thing where over at Warner, they just got to bring everything back in and say, all right, maybe we're not a $1 billion franchise. Excuse me. Maybe we scale back our budget and we shoot for $500 million. And until we start regularly getting $500 million, then we start thinking about things. Because Superman was what, 700? If they're not doing Batman stuff, I think $1 billion is out of the question. It's just the way it is. And I don't know. I finally saw Supergirl. It just feels like reheated, watered down Guardians of the Galaxy stuff. I'm not even going to entertain like the internet woke shit. Like, the movie's not good. There's plenty of reasons to talk about it not being good enough just on its surface. Forget about the fact that it's a woman and all this other shit and her doing the marketing tour saying dumb shit. Doesn't matter. Movie's not good. If a movie's great, an actor can go on a marketing spree and say, yeah, I like zebras. And it's like, oh, that's a quirky actor in that brilliant movie. What a quirky actor. Can't wait to see what she has to say after the next one. But when the movie sucks, it's like, oh, did you see what she said? Of course this thing tanked. It's funny the way you can play this based on the reception of the movie. When there's tons of hours of, especially lately, there's tons of hours of things that people can say. And as long as someone catches it and regurgitates it with a certain spin, it'll catch the right person's algorithm and they'll repackage it. And next thing you know, that's the reason the movie sucks. And it's not true. But yeah, I think it's interesting. I think it's exciting. I'm kind of bummed out that we could have had Inde Navarrette in Heat 2. But if I'm to understand Heat 2 is just the same characters from Heat 1, is it a prequel? Is it like right after? If she's playing Ashley Judd's character, what is that? Was that 4 scenes? I'm okay. I'm okay not seeing that. But you think of Heat. How many characters do you go through before you think of a female? And I'm not trying to be sexist or anything. Think of Heat. Pacino, De Niro, Val Kilmer. Like, that's 3 right there. If you want to stretch and get to the 4th spot, fine. But still, this go-round, it's Christian Bale, Leo DiCaprio, and however you feel about Inde Navarrette right now, she's still just the girl from that movie that just did ridiculous money. There's a bit of a fall off between all I make is Scorsese movies, all I make is Nolan movies, and that chick from that fucking date rape movie. There's a bit of a fall off there. And I misworded it, and now I'm going to get clipped for that phrasing. It's not technically that, but I screwed up. I screwed up with my terminology. So the other topic, I saw a movie the other night, and it stuck with me. And it's not for like any reason that it's not a fantastic movie. It's not a terrible movie. It sticks with me for different reasons. Like, yes, I know MCU has it's down, but when DCU announced Swamp Thing, Booster Gold, Waller Paradise, and the Authority, then axe them. I'm like, what the fuck are you doing, James? And WB and Paradise Lost. Yeah, it seems like as far as DC is concerned, if one thing shakes, the whole foundation is down. Where Marvel, how many sort of misses have they had? And they're just, granted, whatever the hell you have to say about Doomsday, they've kind of pushed things together and been like, okay, we have pieces here. Let's just kind of, put some glue on and hope it works. At least they keep rolling forward. They still do 3 to 4 a year. They may shuffle the approach. Like we haven't seen anything of the Eternals. We haven't seen anything of Shang-Chi, although technically we kind of did. It was an interesting move there by Marvel being like, well, all right, if you're going to do Spider-Man, we're going to give you characters from a thing that we don't know what the fuck we're doing with. And maybe you can make it a bit more important. Then we can borrow it back and kind of figure out what the hell you made. But yeah, DC, it's my understanding that the Lanterns show so far, 1 episode's worth, is okay. Maybe they're the small screen shit, because they were. You think about The Flash was on WB. All of the Smallville was like a long-running show. They couldn't do Superman in the 90s, and they did one in 2006, and it, whatever. But it was good on television. So maybe, just maybe, DC is small screen stuff. Like it sounds shitty to say that. I get it if you're a big DC fan. Batman, big screen. Superman, depending. But it seems as if Superman has prior to 1990, it was big screen stuff. But since then, probably a better small screen run. DC needs to be locked away in a vault for the next 10 years. It doesn't matter who's the head of it. It's still be doomed. One side doesn't like the other side. So yeah. All of the Arrowverse. Yeah, see, I feel like I haven't had cable in forever, but I feel like anytime I was flipping through, there was always some sort of teenage geared DC show on at any point of me having cable. And Smallville was what, 10 years worth of that show? It just might be better for the small screen. Yeah, but it's I don't know. I don't get paid enough. Listen, I'll take $2.5 million to tell them maybe we kind of take it easy with the big budget movie stuff. Maybe we put all our eggs in a basket that's just a television series, and maybe if we want to fill characters out, we have them have guest spots and then take it from there, because the TV stuff seems to work okay, and there's not this giant expectation. Because they're just not making $1 billion property. And yeah, it's unfair that that's the threshold. But when you have Superman coming out to what, 7 and change last year, and Supergirl coming out to far less this year, and then Spider-Man comes along and, oh, by the way, it's still making a lot, and it's cleared $2 billion. Maybe figure shit out. Gunn is kind of quirky, so not surprised he wanted to do the more weird stuff. But while I'm not tired of the comic book movies, I'm very tired of the Snyder versus Gunn crap. Oh, yeah, it's not like the Snyder shit was working that much either. So like, they both don't work. How about that? I'm trying to think what made $1 billion. Man of Steel, did that make $1 billion? It's hard. As someone who loves both Marvel and DC, I try to find enjoyment in all of these adaptations, especially because I know at some point these big superhero films are going to go the way of the Westerns. Listen, I hope for your sake they don't, but I feel like they've gotten too comfortable. I don't think they're trying to wow people anymore. We'll see. As much as I enjoyed 3/4 of Brand New Day, they did do Marvel shit at the end there. We'll see. I'm curious about Doomsday. I'm not writing it off completely, but I feel like you haven't prepped this. Like the brilliant thing about Infinity War and Endgame was it felt like a slow, steady run up to a culmination. Doomsday, I don't who's in it now? What's going on? We're doing a multiverse shit, so it doesn't matter. You can have whoever the people that are dead, but it's so and so from that multiverse. Gonna have to explain that somehow. But Dennis says that's why it needs to be locked away for 10 years plus. Yeah, I think to use Star Wars as an example, Star Wars, Revenge of the Sith, 2005. 10 years later, Force Awakens. However you feel about that movie, the hype for that was ridiculous, and it did very well. Prior to Brand New Day coming out, that was the biggest domestic grosser of all time. So 10 years, that might be the perfect time to just let the thing die out, let people forget. And, people feel mixed about Star Wars. What is your name? Force Awakens. And still did very well. The internet hated Snyder until Justice League and Snyder Cut. Then the Snyder Cultists came out against anything not from Zack. Doomsday Secret Wars is their way of sort of rebooting and merging all the various universes that we currently, as well as they can. That's fast. It's going to have to be a 2.5-hour movie. See, the thing I liked about Infinity War, for as much as we saw Thanos in the other movies, like he was a post-credit guy for half the movies, but what do you have, 2 lines over the course of 15 movies? Infinity War was essentially the true introduction to Thanos. And however, I've seen people dispute this, Infinity War is kind of Thanos' movie. It's giving you you could rename Infinity War to the tragedy of Thanos or some shit. And it would still work. It's Thanos' Iron Man. And then Endgame, you have everything get mopped up after you introduced the main villain. To do that this time around, Doctor Doom is who? Doctor Doom is the guy from the credit scene in Fantastic Four. That is not comparable to what they had with Thanos moving up to Infinity War. Avengers 3, Thanos Boogaloo. Listen, I'm not trying to shit on it. Like, genuinely, I know I'm the tired of comic book guy, but I really enjoyed myself and the experience watching both Infinity War and Endgame. If I could have that experience again with Doomsday, I'll sign up for it. I like having fun, but the writing on the wall doesn't feel very comforting. All right. So, to the movie I watched that sits with me in an odd place because I think it presents a question that I don't have the answer to, and nor does this movie, mind you. A movie I watched a couple of days ago is Truly Naked. That is the poster for it. It is currently available on VOD. About a high school aged guy who is a photographer, internet designer, editor, all things production end of an adult film studio that is run and starring his father. First thing I would say off the bat, you cannot watch this movie around kids. Do not watch it around your parents. Right off the bat, there is, think of Honora and then multiply that by a few. There is a vivid sex scene in the beginning of this movie, and it's like the first thing you see. And the interesting thing about this movie, it's a kid who's going to high school, is in a new neighborhood, and he's around adult films, and everything's very boring to him. Like, he knows what shots to get. He's around sex and nudity a lot, and it's kind of boring to him. He's definitely too young to be in that environment, but it's the only way that his dad gets money in the house because his mother is no longer with us. But the flip side is he is interested in a girl at his high school, and his experience with women oddly taints how he acts and how he feels he should act. He's very shy around this girl, and she's trying to get things out of him and trying to get him to come out of his shell. But his experience with women is adult film actresses and the things that you would look for in adult films. And he's just, his experiences are upside down. See, the thing about this movie is it doesn't really go anywhere too poignant. It has an interesting question. The final shot, like, I kind of felt like, yeah, nice. I get what you're doing, but you could be better than that. If you think about movies that we're kind of okay with, there's movies where an underage kid is around violence and we don't get bothered by it. There's films where an underage kid is around drugs. We don't get bothered by it. And I mean, by bothered by it, like, make a fuss and, try to outlaw the movie. But I want to remind you that this movie is European. I feel like the actors and the setting is British. I think in the US, we have a very odd approach to physical relationships and when the right time for a kid to be around this stuff is. And the movie asks interesting questions. It just never presents appealing enough resolutions to these questions. But the more I think about it, the more I'm like, why am I bothered by this? If he were helping his father be a drug dealer, would it stick with me? And I don't think it would. But it's the same premise with a different unsavory act. I mean, some people would say drug dealing is far more dangerous and less respectable than embracing the other. And I think this movie could have challenged that position a bit better. There's something of a stunt scene in the third act, and I realize that they do that to have the kid finally realize, yeah, this is a bit extreme. But I think this will offend American audiences, and I think part of the problem is just because of sex. A lot of nudity. There's situations that we never know how old this kid is, and I would hope, 18, 17 maybe, and yeah, his dad's a bit of a shit for having him be an employee for his adult film business, and I feel like if this movie were better, it would get you to understand why he's doing this. Like, they can't pay bills. They've got no other choice. But this movie doesn't do that. Or it doesn't do it well or convincingly, should I say. And I just think the topic is interesting. I think in someone else's hands, it could really be effective. And I think you could scale some of this back and have it. I don't know, if you don't show so much, American audiences might be able to understand this. I mean, shit, Honora worked, and that was kind of a lot to take in. But this movie, I believe I gave it 2.5. Check back with me at the end of the month to see where it fits against everything else I've watched in August. But it's not especially good. It's not especially bad. But it's alarming, and that means something. Like, it sticks out to me for better or worse. I'll remember it more than I just watched G.I. Jane for the first time. I remember Truly Naked way more than I do G.I. Jane. Yeah. What happened, you guys? No more MCU talk. You all died. But the last topic is something that's unfortunate, and I don't know how to approach it, to be fair. Hayden Panettiere found dead a couple of days ago. And once again, the feed that goes into my television kind of cursed. People kind of coming to conclusions as to what the reasons were. And apparently she released a book earlier in the year talking about certain people, certain figures in Hollywood. And there's a conspiracy theory that Hollywood had her taken out. I don't think I agree with that. Only because you have lots of people that have said things about Hollywood. Corey Feldman has made a thing for what, a decade plus now, talking about people still out there. How many people spoke up about Weinstein. Alyssa Milano is still out there. There's a bunch of actresses that spoke up about Harvey Weinstein, and they're still around. And I think stuff like that distracts the fact that this is a young girl who was acting at a very young age and just kind of worked for 30 years straight. And she had issues. She was like partially paralyzed for a year and had some sort of dependence to medication. I can relate to a lot of stuff with her. And apparently the people she was hanging out with weren't the best to be surrounded with. That probably plays into it too. I don't think it's as cut and dry as, oh, she said a thing about Hollywood and they wanted her off the face of the earth. I don't think it works out like that. What I do think is if Hollywood's going to have children work, they need to do better, making sure that children are taken care of. I don't think a child should be working. I mean, like, don't get me wrong. There's certain stuff in effect where a child can't work more than 4 hours or something. But I think, you have labor laws. Like a kid can't work at the Gap, even 15 hours. A kid can't work at McDonald's. But, a 10-year-old kid can be on the next CBS sitcom as long as they only work 4-hour shifts. That's odd. And on top of that, I think Hollywood owes it to these children to let them be children. If they're shooting a movie or shooting a television series or something, and they give you 6 months of work, you got to give them 6 months off. And I mean off, not, oh, we're not hiring them so they can go do what they want. I think, depending on the age, and you could probably maneuver this a certain way the older you get, but under the age of 12, if you're doing 6 on, you have to do 6 off. These children need to be children. How many times are we going to have these young actors that grow up and don't see 40? That we just think, oh, they had a very tortured life. Yeah. Maybe because they didn't have a chance to have a life. Could it possibly be that? There's tons of stuff that, listen, I had a cup of coffee. I did a thing for a little bit there. Was not really interested in that. Granted, I don't know if I cost myself gigs or what, but I was child modeling, child acting for a stretch there. I did not like anything about that experience at all. It was a total of a year and a half of my life that I can't imagine that times 10. These kids need to be kids, or I don't know, some sort of graduation thing where you turn 18 and suddenly you have a few years off or something. These people need to find out who they are as humans before they just keep doing work, being a moldable character for whatever your next thing is. Because when we go through puberty, like, that's a lot to deal with. And if you're constantly acting like something you're not while not knowing what you are, that's kind of torture. And, the vigorous schedule, even if you're only working 4 hours a day, you're still working however many days a week. It's not right. And I get it. Was she 36? Did she ever have time to take a break? There's plenty of things to talk about in regards to Hayden Panettiere, but to assume that she was offed by Hollywood is I don't like that look or that rumor. I think the conversation to be had here is we should respect children, actors, children in the industry as human beings, as undeveloped humans, and give them time to develop. Figure out what their likes and dislikes are. You have a 5-year-old kid, and you're telling them to act like something, and then they're growing up in the system, which, let's be honest, very phony. When you're doing stuff where you're pretending to be other people, your experience with life is, oh, I'm acting like something I'm not. I'm doing something to appease someone else. And then you don't know, you never really feel comfortable with what you are and what makes you you. You're constantly trying to be something else. And that's awful. If people want to do that or not, it really should be their decision, and not their decision as a 10-year-old, not their decision as a 15-year-old. If we're going to talk about certain medications that children should not be taking at age 15, I'm not going to talk about anything in particular, but there's certain medications you think children should not be taking at age 15 because they don't know who they are yet. Fine. That same argument should be made for children working in Hollywood. They should be able to figure out who the hell they are as human beings first, not acting like whatever the fuck the script is telling you to be. Because do you know what you are is the first question I'd ask. I think the more important question is what hand does the environment, the typical Hollywood upbringing have to do with this? The constantly trying to be someone you're not. And there's bad choices, sure. But you think about it, how many times, how many generations are there these actors that, we watch them grow up and they hit a wall by age 18, 19, 20, 21, 22. It happens every generation. Like the one that I could think of that actually got through it and is actually on the other side of it is what? Drew Barrymore? Lindsay Lohan? Sort of. Hollywood chews these people up and spits them out, and they're just on to the next thing. And I don't know. Can we think of these people as humans before they die and not after they die? It was a nice, happy conversation in the beginning. I appreciate those of you who were here then. Let me know how you feel about each subject. If you want to only talk about comic books in the comments section, that's fine as well. Please like and subscribe and all that other jazz. We'll see you again soon.